All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, Rob Manfred will not be winning any popularity contest anytime soon. Of course, first and foremost, with the folks in the Bay Area, being that the A's are set to leave Oakland. And the East Bay is not the only place right now where there's disdain for MLB's commissioner. MLB and Manfred, plain and simple, they dropped the ball in regards to their handling of this crucial series this week between the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. Both the Mets and the Braves are in the mix to get a wild card berth in the National League. And one of these division rivals might be watching the postseason from home. We're talking about a very tight race right now between the Padres, Diamondbacks, Mets, and Braves. The Padres have already clinched a spot, not a berth, because they still have an opportunity to win the National League West. But nonetheless, you could throw the Dodgers into that mix as well, because the Dodgers could fall out of first place, and we could be talking about them as a wild card team. All right, but you look at things right now. The Mets and Braves got their game in Tuesday night, okay, down in Georgia. But both Wednesday's game and Thursday's game have been postponed due to the weather. Of course, there is that hurricane that is hitting that region right now. And my thing is this: the regular season is supposed to end Sunday. Now, MLB is going to ask both the Mets and Braves to come back and play a double header on Monday afternoon and then get ready, one of them at least, for the wild card on Tuesday. The bottom line is make it make sense, because you've got the Braves. They're going to sit up there and they're going to take on the Kansas City Royals this weekend. The Mets, they're on their way. That think they've gotten there already. They're in Milwaukee to finish up against the Brewers. They then have to play 3 games with the Brewers, and then they have to turn right back around and hop on a plane and go back to face the Braves. A Braves team that does not have to leave. Why? Because the Braves are hosting the Kansas City Royals this weekend. All right. So, of course, the Mets, in my opinion, are at a huge disadvantage for to try to go out there and make the postseason. But at the end of the day, a lot of this could have been avoided. Okay. Everybody saw the weather reports. You knew that this bad weather was going to hit that region. You could have simply shifted this series to another city. It's too important, and they needed to get it in this week as opposed to waiting to Monday. You had Wrigley Field in Chicago open, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Boston, St. Louis, Arlington with to where the Texas Rangers play. Someplace you could have found a way to fit this series in someplace else and make it work. It did not have to come to this. And it's not just going to be the Mets and Braves that are affected by this, because other teams like the Diamondbacks that are in contention, they might have to wait now to figure out their playoff fate. Playoff seeding could be at stake as well. And then getting back to the Mets and Braves, this is probably going to change things as far as their rotations going forward. I know that the Mets had moved up Luis Severino to pitch game 1 of this critical series with the Braves. He did start that game. But now, if you're manager Carlos Manaea, you've got to try to go out there and shift things around. And for the winner of this, whoever gets in between these two, it's one of those where they're going to be at more of a disadvantage now as far as getting that pitching rotation ready. One thing's for sure: if you're the Mets, this is extra time now to get Francisco Lindor healthy coming down the stretch. Of course, he has missed about 8 games in a row for the Mets due to that back injury. But nonetheless, for me, for anybody out there that had qualms about Bud Selig as MLB's commissioner and the job that he did, Rob Manfred right now is pretty much saying, hold my beer. I mean, I've talked about the A's situation. We're talking about this situation right here. So many other situations as well. And it's a crying shame that Major League Baseball continues to be operated in the fashion that it is. Like I said, Padres, Diamondbacks, Braves, and Mets all in contention for those spots. The Padres are in. Okay. So basically, you've got the Mets, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves fighting for two spots in the National League. And it's going to be unfortunate that one of these teams, could see their season come to an end depending on how this breaks. Like I said before, this series could have and should have been shifted to another series. But the inactivity of the commissioner's office to make a concrete decision on this matter, okay, is front and center. And it's situations like this why people are paid the amount of money that they are. You got to go out there and you have to make these critical decisions. Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred once again dropped the ball. And at the end of the day, we should not be surprised. I've been one of those that calls him clueless, Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred is along for the ride. Rob Manfred is there to get a paycheck, nothing more, nothing less. And he's not going to step aside because in the owner's eyes, he's doing a good job. But at the end of the day, the fans and the game of baseball deserve better than this. Like I said, this is a time when you need leadership. Major League Baseball has no leadership. A decision should have been made. It should not have had to come to this. But instead, for the Mets and Braves, they're going to be tasked with now having to play 18 additional innings come Monday afternoon to try to decide their postseason fate. And whoever, if both of them or one of them, get to the postseason, they are going to be at more of a disadvantage. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.